Start?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone, and everybody on Zoom. Welcome to the Cecil Preservation Society March membership meeting. I'm Ken Smith. I'm one of the co-chairs of the STPS organization, and it's really good to see a full room. Anybody here for the first time? Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's great. Okay, that is awesome. Florida. Got those three. Where are you from?
Melbourne.
Melbourne? Okay. I know everybody, the wildfire rescue people, all from local here. Okay. Anybody from out of town? All good, excellent. So, let's see, a couple of things that happened since our last meeting is, the main thing is, well, we have a lot of rescuing a lot of turtles, and transporting turtles. And the permit holders meeting was this month for that's Fish and Wildlife. That was excellent. STPS had at least 30 people there. I'm not sure what the final count was. We had 3 rows. I know they took some pictures, but I also know that some of our members were scattered throughout the crowd. So it will be interesting to see if we can figure out how many of us were there. But I think our presence was like dominant. And the presentations were very, very good. Fish and Wildlife did 8 presentations. They covered quite a few subjects, all the way from surrounding trends, nesting numbers, orientation, obstructions, artificial reefs, invasive species. They did a really nice shorebird event. But when they get to the grants, the sea turtle license plate that a lot of you have, the grants presentations they're more scientific, which up my alley and Joel's alley and others. They did a great job. Dr. Barron they're from the Loggerhead Marine Life Center, and they got a new endoscope, and she showed actually the videos going into the turtles and all of their spaces. You can do this in other animals as well, not just turtles. But the takeaway from that is could do all the surgeries and everything in it, but the sea turtle healing time was in days. They could release the turtle, not weeks, because you didn't have to go in there and surgically cut them and stitch them and all that. So that was awesome to see that is very much going to be in use in more areas, we hope. But Dr. Barron's right on top of it. She did a great job. And then we had Sandra Hirsch, and she did, they're using satellites now to accommodate nesting. And she did a great presentation showing concentration of nests, what was nesting where, and the satellite videos were great. I couldn't see the charts. They were kind of eye charts from back where I was, but I'm hoping we're going to see if some of these briefings can't be disseminated, because it'd be really good if people that weren't permit holders maybe could get this information and learn from it, because they did a really, really good job. Florida Atlantic University was there. They did a great job on leatherbacks and nesting and the problems that they're having. That was very educational too, and quite a bit more. Okay, but I better wrap that one up. We're going to try and get we'll see if we can't get some of those briefings, and if we can put them online on the STPS website, that'd be great. Then you can look at them at any time, or whatever FWC wants to direct us on that one. Next, we have some announcements. I want to encourage all of you. Look, Susan Randolph puts out a terrific newsletter every week, a month, and I'm going to just follow it, because that's where we're going with this. And the first thing is, I want to remind everybody our 40th anniversary is coming up in March. Okay, and on March 21st, we're going to meet at the Car Museum on Sarno Road in Melbourne, and tickets are still available. There is about half the tickets sold. They sold quite a few. I think they might almost be halfway there. Okay, once it's just now, Robin just told me it got opened up to the public just recently, so tickets will go pretty quickly, according to the history there. Because even neighbors of mine up on North Merritt Island, they don't have anything to do with sea turtles, but they've gone to the Car Museum 2 or 3 times, and they're not even a member of any of the organizations. They just see when it goes public, and then they go, because it's only open for a fundraiser only a couple times a year. And so you can't just go there anytime. It's not a tourist attraction. It's owned by Peter Bondre, and he actually gives a personal tour. It's 6 to 9 is the regular meeting time or event time, but if you pay the extra money, you get a personal tour from him from 5 on, and then he takes you through, and you get to meet him. And I was told by a number of people it's well worth it. Okay, so my wife and I signed up for that. I'd like to meet him. I haven't met him yet at all. Okay. And that's the main one. We also have beach cleanups this Saturday. Okay, we do 2 beaches. So, you can meet at either one of them at 9. All the equipment's provided. Okay, you just have to show up. You have gloves, buckets, grabbers, all that kind of stuff. If you're in the north end of the county, it's at Cherry Down Park in Cape Canaveral. And the southern is it's called Val M. Steel Park. I'm not familiar with them. It's Melbourne Beach. Okay, and someone will meet you there too. Okay. And let's see. Then we have a nice event coming with the Melbourne Police Department and the kids. Yeah, that is also on Saturday the 7th. And they still do need 1 or 2 people to help with that. And basically you just talk to them about sea turtles and our organization while the policemen and the kids are all mingling with you. So it's kind of fun. And they have 2 time periods, 8:30 to 11:30 would be like a morning shift, and 11:30 to 2:30 would be an afternoon. But you also get to participate in it and talk to the policemen and learn what they're doing with the kids. It's pretty cool. And then Melbourne Beach Nature Day is Saturday, April 11th. That's at Reichman Park. And if anybody wants to help there, they have a table there too. And it'll be a morning and an afternoon time frame. But you can just reference the newsletter. We got picture numbers to call and who to contact and anything like that. And then the Turtle Trunk Coordinator. Turtle trunks are exactly that. They're trunk and educational materials of sea turtles, and the teachers from different agencies and schools check them out. And we just need a coordinator to help make sure the trunks are stocked, and then coordinate with the teachers. You hand it to them, they hand it back to you, and then that's also in the newsletter. Okay. And that is it. And the important things to know, I think everybody is pretty aware of. If you find anything, you call FWC, like whales, dolphins, manatees. Okay, turtles, you call hotline, SDPS. Okay, and in some instances, like you call SeaWorld, which is what, whales? Whales or SeaWorld?
No, not SeaWorld. Yeah, just pull your phone up and look up hotline whales and dial that.
Hotline whales. Yeah, and with the right whale migrations that Joel's in charge of, he makes sure they migrate. All Joel. But anyway, there's a place for that too. Okay, let's see. I want to get through this so Heather can start talking. Well, actually, I'll do this now. Any questions of all that? I went through it very quickly because I want to give Heather the evening. Everybody good? Anybody on Zoom?
Yes, we got about a dozen people.
Any questions on Zoom?
Not yet.
Okay.
But we'll have to talk louder.
They can't hear me?
Not very well.
Well, okay. I don't want to shout you guys down doing it. Heather, Pepe, she is one of the co-founders of Florida Rescue. She's also the chief operating officer. Okay. She's also been a long-standing STPS member, and she is also on the stranding and salvage permit. And she also helps the transport permit people, me and our team. Is everybody familiar with the National Powerboat Race at St. Pepe Beach? Yes. You watching those? Yeah, that helicopter goes back and forth. That's her. That's her helicopter. Okay. But no, she's our main observer, and she coordinates everything for on our observers in the boats throughout the race course and on the ground when it's on at the pier and wherever else they are. And so she is the key for that. Okay, so she helps us with that too. So with that, I'll turn it over to her. Okay, so Heather,
thank you for having me here. Always a privilege. Before I start talking, I would like my team at Wild Florida Rescue to stand up. I was given Jenny White as well. Anybody else? Everybody up. So without this team, we cannot do this. First of all, I'm getting old, on my way, and it's been through nets, all of that. But these folks, they go out, they rescue, they do dispatch, all kinds of stuff, and without them, we couldn't do this. So if somebody wants to lower a light, that would be great. Joel.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so we are Wild Florida Rescue. We are the first of its kind. We are a wildlife ambulance. We proudly serve Brevard County, specifically Satellite Beach is where we live. We're at the old fire station. We now have 2 ambulances, and they're equipped with things like oxygen, stretcher, medical supplies, net guns, flashlights, ropes, kayaks, all the kind of things that we would need to do rescue. Okay?
Mhm.
All right, a lot of people confuse us with the Florida Wildlife Hospital on US 1. So we are friends, but we are not the same. We have different missions. We do a lot of the same things, but we are different. They live on US 1. We live in Satellite Beach. We are the ambulance. They are the hospital. Some of the things we do, again, interchanges, but we are different. Okay. All right, our mission is to provide a safe and compassionate emergency first response service for wildlife in need of urgent medical attention. The mouthful. We respond, we search and rescue, we transport sick and injured animals to emergency care. We provide triage care and rehab when necessary. And we also do rescue release, things that are out there that just need to be released from being entrapped and they're okay. We let them go, and then we also reunite babies with parents whenever we can. Okay. Right, so how do we work? So we have a hotline. The person in the public calls the hotline about the wildlife needing help. Our dispatch volunteers answer that call the person back, and see what the animal needs, if it needs help, what kind of help it needs. If it needs an actual rescue, they will send out the ambulance or another rescuer that is available to go out. They provide the search and rescue, and then we either triage it, and for the most part, we go to a medical facility or a rehab facility right away. And so, you know, our logo has the Star of Life, which represents early detection, which is your persons out there, all of you who see an animal needing help and calls it in. That's the early reporting. The dispatcher gets that report. Again, the quick response to call people back and going out there. And then the on-scene small care, whatever that is, rescue. Or take it out of entrapment or rescue as an orphan. And then the care in transit, that's your oxygen or your safe and compassionate transport. And then we go to definitive care. So dispatch, rescue, transport, care, release, and reunite. Okay. All right, so who do we serve? We serve everybody. We serve the public, small business owners, sheriff's department, police department, fire department, coast guard, air force, public works, border patrol, port authorities, Florida Para and Light, news reporters, and city officials. Everybody calls us. Okay. All right, so while Florida works and collaborates with many people to be successful in getting these animals care and back out where they need to be. So you can see we have tree climbers that work with us, rehabbers, FPL, police, sheriff, animal services, FWC. Everybody's out there working with us to get this done. We're not alone. Oh, it feels like it sometimes, but we're a big unit. It takes a village, really. Okay. All right. And we never know who else might need our help. So while we don't, STPS doesn't usually need a whole lot of help. They got that down. Occasionally they do. It's hard to see there. There's a sea turtle. Once we got a call for a soft shell, I immediately called it into STPS. And how I was there and already on the stranding team, I helped with that. Also the Air Force Base, all those guys were helping and we helped there. FWC, that's their domain. Manatee are their domain, but occasionally they might want us to go out and check if a manatee is really in fact tied to a rope or if it's just eating algae before they send out their scientists. And like in this case, there's times that we have to work with Hub SeaWorld, particularly if we're the first on scene as a first responder. We don't do whales or dolphins, but we call them and we wait, make sure that nobody's harming, further harming the animal while it's there. Okay. All right, so it was founded, Wild Florida Rescue was founded in 2016. Our first inaugural year was 2017. It was just the two of us, myself and Matthew Bice, who started it with me at the time. So, and we were really proud of seeing that Brevard County animals have hurt friends. But again, it was at that very moment, it was just us, and we had no idea what we were in for. So, while it seemed to be a very good idea, because there was a void, a gap of people finding animals, even bobcats, owls with big talons, not knowing how to get them to the hospital or get them to care. We realized that it really was very much needed. But we also found out that it was crazy. Definitely. So, yeah, I blame it on my family personally, because since I was a little kid, they've been putting things in my hands. So here, my mother must have not cared about my 9-year-old self. Holding raccoons, didn't care about rabies, roundworms, whatever else comes with it. But that maybe when I went crazy, so. Go ahead. Okay, so why was it crazy? It was crazy because the scalability was insane. You had 2 people and calls went from the first week. We were introduced to animal services and we went from 4 to 16 calls in a day. In the first couple of weeks, we were there suddenly 16 calls a day. And at that time, we still had jobs. We never had a chance to make a good sustainable plan. The 2 of us were running 3 to 4 24-hour shifts in the time that we wanted to be credible. We didn't want to also leave any animals behind. So one of us would work 3 days and the other would do 4 days, and it was all the way around the clock. Soon as it hit Google, people just called. And we had quite a burnout. And every time other volunteers came in, they got burnt out. So we never had the chance or knowledge to raise money. Our personal vehicle had a lot of costs. We had to quit our jobs, both of us, just to make it happen. We weren't sure why we did that, but we did. And we never really had the chance to really train incoming volunteers because it was go, 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 go. We would teach them what we could teach them and send them out. And really, within just a couple of weeks to months, people just came and gave us a hug, said, good luck, you're on your own. It was just too much. So we just didn't expect it to be as big as it became. Okay. All right. So in 2017, we had 3,012 calls for the year. We were shocked by that number. But in 2025, we just counted 8,715 calls for the year. So that's quite intense. Okay. So why the rise in call numbers? Well, first, people started to know where they can call. People know now about us. And the growing development, the human impacts, almost everything we see is human impacts, whether it's entanglements, other kind of trash, debris, being entrapped, animals being hit by cars. So a lot of human impacts. So since our founding, we had 54,027 calls for help. And that's over the last 9 years. Okay. All right. So we started to gain volunteers. We actually had 5 volunteers that started doing midnight to midnight shifts. Believe it or not, I can't believe we asked them to do that. So they were filling that round the clock. Everybody took a day, midnight to midnight. And we also got a couple of veterinarians. Dr. Donna Craig was helping us. We were bringing animals to her all through the night. She has a private clinic and a mobile vet facility. So we were going to her. We eventually got an ambulance. Again, we got more volunteers that started to jump on. We gained 4 and we'd lose 2. And then we'd gain 3 more and we'd lose 3. So we kept going with that. Then we got, and Dale Craig, our president, is Dr. Donna Craig's husband. He helped a lot with medical care. And then O'Galley Veterinary Hospital jumped in. They still help us a lot. So we have also Dr. Redamosa, who owns O'Galley, Vet Tech Gemma Miller, who I think Dr. Redamosa didn't know what hit her. She got interested in saving wildlife, and now his practice is open to a lot of our wildlife. Dr. Brickett, Dr. Barr, and Dr. Marino are over there. Then Dr. Farr in Malabar, Dr. Butler from Arkenbar, Dr. Beal from Animal Specialty of Brevard, and Dr. Trottier from Aloha. I'd just like to mention all of them because they've done all that for us at virtually no cost. Okay. All right. And these guys, definitely have to talk about these guys. So these are your wildlife first responders. Of course, not all of them. These are just a couple of photos. I didn't want to keep photobombing everybody. But these people are super special. They train to dispatch, they train to rescue tactics, handling, transport, triage, and rehab, and then they train again. They constantly hear my mouth. I'm probably hated amongst my team, but I think they forgive me because they kind of love what they do. They love the animals anyway. So, but they always hear me constantly, not that way, do this, do better, and they really strive to be good at what they do, not the best to get a pat on their backs, but so they can be good at what they do, and so they can get animals back out there. And sometimes, I have to beg them, this animal is not going to make it, and they will go to Timbuktu to save that animal, get the right surgery, get the right rehabber. So I just want to say, that this team of volunteers is fantastic. Okay. All right, there are many case scenarios with each one being unique. Okay. All right, so we had a great horned owl fell out of its nest in an old palm tree. This was the home of an FWC officer. This was one of the first re-nests we ever did. We don't do the plastic anymore. We just do wicker baskets. That wasn't the end of the world, but then we've got to go back up and get them. Just not the best thing to introduce plastic into the environment. We contacted a bucket truck that was willing to reach us and meet us the next morning. He went up there, we went up there, we got the second baked owl and made a new nest, fixed it to the tree, and Mom came back before we even left. And she took care of those babies until they all flew the nest. So that was great. Okay. All right, we had an osprey hanging by tarpaulin at the tippy top of a 45-foot boat mast. The tarpaulin was shredded and it was all intertwined in the talons, and it was laying with its head down and flapping its wings. You can see it up there. We took our smallest person who was actually responding to that call, and we put her in the bosun seat, and our president scooched her up that pole. First time for everybody. And the boat was swaying, was on the water.
Wow.
And she was afraid of heights. That was her chance for experience. She got the bird, safely brought it down. The bird did not, we checked it to see if it was dehydrated. It didn't appear so. And then the girls just let it go, and it had a beautiful flight off. So, gopher tortoise hit by a car. Our president does specialty work in repairing shells. So he put the screws in and the wires on this tortoise. Then we took it to the wildlife hospital for long-term rehab. And some months later, when the shell healed, we all got together and let it go. Okay. All right, so the raccoon with the jar entrapment. I don't know if anybody saw this. We called it Buzz. Reminded us a little bit of Buzz Lightyear and Buzz Aldrin. So this was up at the compound, which is in Palm Bay, and about I think it's like 3,000 acres of land, wild land, nothing else up there. Somebody reported it, and we went after it. It took a few days. People get mad because we didn't catch it yet. But We were confident that we were gonna keep going until we did capture it, okay? And then Sheriff Ivy calls and says, Heather, did you catch that raccoon yet with the jar on its head? And I said, no, not yet. And he said, all right, I'm coming with the inmates this afternoon. So all the inmates came and we showed them around. It was very surreal. You know, at one point I was running through the woods, didn't know what was happening. Alice was here too. They didn't find him. Well, we found him, but we didn't capture him. So we located it. We didn't capture him. So Mr. Ivy said he's coming back with the drone. So the drone operators came and we couldn't find him. So Mr. Wayne Ivy came back with a helicopter and infrared camera. So that was all a big shock. Like I said, I found myself running in the woods with the inmates and a helicopter. I didn't know what I was escaping, what I was doing. So it was very surreal. But these guys were great. They actually kept asking later, did they get the raccoon? How's the raccoon? So, you know, there's a moral to every story. These guys the entire time are like, we gotta be quiet. We gotta make sure we do this. They really cared. So that was really awesome. I loved it. And no, Mr. Ivy assured us that he didn't use the taxpayers' money. So, all right, next. All right, so the last day, that day was kind of full of commotion, so we didn't catch Buzz. But the next day, we heard, I believe, Alice, you got a call? Or Lulu, I'm sorry. One of our other volunteers got a call that he was in their bird feeder and then he was in a tree. So she went out there. She knew to call her team. Our team is really good about teamwork. I said I was on my way. Alice was on her way. A couple others were on their way and she held fast. She kept her eyes on the raccoon. When we got there, we cleared the bush around the tree because the raccoon was jumping from tree to tree. We cut off all the branches around it. And then we worked in unison. At one point, we couldn't see it anymore. Only this young lady, Emma, up in that corner there, could see it. And, or Lulu was seeing it. I'm sorry. That's not true. Lulu was seeing it and Lulu was just saying left, right, right, left, 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 left. And then we hear Emma go, got it. So Emma did throw the net over the raccoon. We put it in the carrier. The jar came off immediately. And some days later, we let the homeowner release the raccoon. Oh. Okay. All right. So we had a white pelican with a balloon string tied to his leg and wing. Again, these entrapments that it's just human impacts, not deliberate, but it's happening. So these white pelicans are huge. They're so much bigger than a brown pelican. So he couldn't fly, okay? So this took a little while and some hard work. And if you look at these pictures, you can see just how big it looks like AI, how big the pelican was. And even though it couldn't get a very high flight, it could still get enough flight to pretty much outrun everybody. But then, okay, they caught it. They did. So a lot of tough work. And what you don't see in these slides is this takes hours and hours and hours, sometimes days. And then you think about the 8,000 plus calls for the year. That's a lot of time served. Okay. All right. So this was a real tough situation up at Titusville and tough for my team down here because every time we wanted to go rescue it, every time someone saw it, we were here. Nevertheless, we made the trip every day for several weeks. She not only had her head in it, as you can see, she had her leg in it. And someone suspected that she was pregnant. And the vet said, yeah, it does look like that. It looks like she's thin and that she's pregnant. Oh. Go ahead. So we were there every day. We got Tom from Apopka with the dart gun. We got the vets on scene so that way they could give the dart medication, the sedation. And then also to reverse the sedation, because a deer can't stay down very long. We had our president with the net guns, we had MEPs. If you look how intense this looks, also a big giant piece of property. So we did a lot of planning, hiding in tents. This took weeks as well. Okay. And she gave birth while
Oh my gosh.
her head was still in there.
Oh my God.
So she gave birth and then she hid her baby. She came out a few times looking for corn and food. By the way, corn is a snack, just so you know. Eating a lot of corn and stuff like that can cause founder's disease, which will eventually kill the animal. So she did have the baby, she hid it. At that point, we knew time was of essence and weeks had passed. So we don't know exactly well, we kind of do. Someone may or may not have caught her in a hog trap that was out there somewhere in the woods and just pulled it off. And that's okay. So she suffered some minor injuries, but has been doing great. Now this has been a couple of years. So she did really well. Those are the injuries that she had from rubbing back and forth. And then she was with her baby, raised her baby, and she's been okay. And that's the lid. If you look how small the actual hole is. Okay. So what else does Wild Florida do? So Wild Florida Rescue has the first youth squad explorers team. The explorers usually do like police and fire department and stuff like that. And now they have the first wildlife explorers youth squad. So hopefully they will learn enough and come up to be us if some of them want to continue with wildlife work. Sometimes we work with Mission Clean Beaches on beach cleanups. We also continue to prepare to provide aid to other organizations should they need us. And we love doing that. Wild Florida hosts and attends educational events, much like sea turtle preservation does, and data projects to create better protocol to aid in conservation efforts. That is Jenny White doing that, and she's sitting here as well. She would like to very much make better protocols for animals that constantly either strand, like birds that strand and stuff like that, to get them better care, because I know the entire public always wants to know what to do about stranded seabirds and things like that. A whole bunch of different stuff she's got planned, and I won't give all that. I'll let her do that one day. Okay. How's Wild Florida funded? That's neat. Okay. Small grants, private businesses, fundraising campaigns, public donors, and Wild Florida volunteers and board members donate. A lot of our volunteers buy things for us, and they donate as well. So, if you like what you see today, then find us on Facebook and please like and share. Okay. All right. So, together we make a difference. This is Autumn. Autumn also works a lot with sea turtle preservation, especially now when she's in Cocoa and she goes to a lot of calls, I think, in Cocoa, right? Together we make a difference. All right, so I have one more animal here, O'Galley. So this is a possum that was hit by a car in a road, and one of our responders rescued her and took her to O'Galley Veterinary Hospital. When she went there, she was diagnosed with a broken nasal cavity and a broken tooth. So there was a tough decision whether to euthanize her or to give it a shot. And the vets immediately decided to, they were confident that they could fix that. Okay. All right, so they gave her the life-saving surgery immediately. She has some nice little outfits there. She had to have a tube, she had to be tube fed, so she wouldn't aspirate. She had to have her bandages changed daily, fluids, a lot of stuff. She looks, poor thing, was pretty scrawny. They're estimating that she's a little on the older side. They suspected she was either raised by someone, couldn't see, she was just so kind of friendly. So we sent her to a rehab well away from us because all our volunteers wanted to keep her, of course. So we sent her away up to Titusville and she went there for rehab, but that person said that, that's Carol Hardy, said that she appeared to be blind, that she couldn't fend for herself out in the wild and could be why she was so skinny and small. So she could not be released. And now O'Galley has a forever home at Wild Florida Rescue. So we are happy to have her. Go ahead. Okay, so look at her now. Isn't she great? She looks much fatter and fluffier. I mean, really look at her now. Turn on the light. Oh my Oh my goodness, what thank you. Probably mother did little boss around. So she is now our ambassador animal.
Oh, God.
And she's got outdoor caging, but she's very much like, you're not gonna leave me out here, right? She doesn't seem to, if you want to close that door, just in case, she doesn't seem to want to be let go back wild. So either she was really hand fed or raised by humans, or she just knows, I can't see out there, you've been feeding me great every day, I love my green cabin, I love my puppies, and so she recognizes when we come and her food's coming, so she knows she's somewhere new. So because she doesn't see very well, when we take her in a different environment, she does kind of just stand there. We tested that out last week. But she walks around really well. When she's comfortable, she just starts spinning around, walking around, smelling stuff, doing little obstacle courses. So she does like her butt scratched very much. She usually backs up for it. Yeah, she smells, she knows she's in a different environment, so. But she has really cool, they've got a thumb.
Yeah.
Okay, that's you. You got me. All right, okay, there's a pouch. And the pouch, she's the only marsupial in America.
We don't usually get this kind of act. This is wonderful. Even the,
That is the end of our presentation, so.
Great, and we-
She's probably like, where's my dinner? She used to, when we first got her, she wasn't sure of what was going on. She was nervous. So she'd walk around a lot until she'd pretty much pass out. And now she's quite regulated. How long have you had her? Probably we got her December. I think so, yeah. So cute. Yeah. But the whole process was before that.
Alice, when next time you pick her up, will you bring her up next to the camera?
About how old do you think she is?
We're not sure. The Muslims live in generally 1 to 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And 4 years is kind of a lot in the wild. So most likely she's an older possum. She's very fluffy now. She has her shirt on, but now she's all big and fluffy. She put on a good bit of weight. She's doing so much better.
Yeah, perfect.
Probably
Yep,
not
walk
so
straight up.
close. It's like super zoom.
And then if someone sees the inevitable one hit on the side of the road, you want to
Yeah.
mention,
Well, first off, if someone sees one on the side of the road, don't pick it up like we're picking her up. Because all the possums we rescue, we can't do that. She literally came that way. We didn't even train her to do that. That is just the way she is. Most possums out there are not. They will open up their mouth. They don't run after you, but if you put your fingers in the crossfire, they can and will use their teeth. If you find a dead one and you can safely look at it on the side of the road, whether you remove it or it's already on the side of the road. I reiterate, safely, then you can look underneath, check in the pouch, make sure there's no babies in there. The other thing you can do if you're not comfortable doing that, call Wild Florida. You should take a brochure or a card and just take that number and put it in your phone. Because a lot of people think, well, okay, it's cool, I saw this, but I probably won't need it, I don't come across stuff needing help, and that's the day you're gonna need it. And you're gonna be Googling in the sun on the beach and won't be able to figure out where or who you're trying to call. Just put it in your phone as wildlife rescue, and then you've got it. So.
Does she use a litter box? How is she trained to?
She's got one, but she doesn't really. But she also won't go. She also won't go in her house. She waits till we take her out
Okay.
in our building,
Yeah.
and then she.
Oh.
So we try to take her outside, so she does that outside.
Oh, okay.
But she doesn't.
That's too
She's
funny.
hard enough that she doesn't really want to go in her house, but. For some reason, she doesn't love getting in her litter box. I'm not sure why. I've never gotten in. She's extremely bougie.
I love her shirt.
Rotten. Yeah.
She is. And she's much faster than she looks right now. Again, she really can't see very well at all. So she's feeling and looking. Alice maybe not near the wires, so she doesn't get tangled up and break something full of jewels. But she can boogie when she wants to. And she what? Oh, take it off. Take it off. Take it off. There we go. Yeah, she's like, wait now. Oh. All right. Well, that's it. Is there any questions about anything?
Does she eat? How many volunteers are you already with you? Yeah.
So as far as what did she eat, I'm sorry, one sec. She eats a lot of different stuff. So possums eat bugs, berries, nuts, fish, chicken. She loves fruits. Of course, they're sweet. She likes fruit. But she gets a variety every day, including a special possum kibble, which gives her a lot of her vitamins and nutrients.
You only operate in Brevard County?
Technically, yes. So we cover Brevard County. We do have an Indian River County crew that we trained. And when the call comes into us, we can call them. So there's very few. There's only a few of them down there. But we do call them. We meet them on the border sometimes. So we try to keep animals in their own county. But if an animal does have to come up here to the wildlife hospital, we will go pick it up. So, and it happens north as well. And as far as your question, we probably have 35 active volunteers, but we don't have that many running every day, right? We've got some volunteers, Tara. And actually, Lorraine, everybody here pretty much does multiple things, whether they dispatch and rescue and rehab. So they're doing a lot of different things. But we have a big database, but we only have about 35 active volunteers.
And you mentioned early on, you didn't have time for training, you didn't have time to fundraise, you didn't have the time for any of those things. Obviously, I'm assuming that must have evolved.
It has evolved. I didn't say it's 100%, but it has evolved because we have a lot more hands. So, while I step out myself of doing a lot of rescue, I can do a lot of those things now. And then we have different teams and people coming in to do so much more. But those of us that were here in the beginning got taxed out completely. And in fact, when the new people come in, we try to let them know, we love that you're helping us, but try not to get burnt, try not to get taxed. And sometimes Alice will call me and say, I love her, don't let her get burnt out, you know, because it is still really hard. But we're doing much, much better than the early years, that's for sure. Yeah.
How many critters do you actually have at the rescue center that are that you've adopted like this one?
Only one.
Oh,
So we
okay.
had a possum in the way beginning. We had one, she's passed, Penny. We haven't adopted any others. So this is the first one that we've adopted. And we have a couple of squirrels at the building now, just the squirrels, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we have some squirrels, that baby squirrels we're rehabbing, so. But that's it, otherwise, we're busy on the road.
What kind of animals do you get the most calls on, would you say?
I would say birds, a lot of birds, yeah. Could be all day long birds.
And in the
So-
winter, it's gannet calls.
Yes,
Gannet.
yeah, 50 something plus gannet calls.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook
Yeah.
and several people said call wild Florida, call wild Florida. Yeah.
So the thing about our dispatch as well, is like policies, protocols, things change. It's so good to call our dispatch because they will give you the most updated. You know, maybe last year we picked up all the gannets, maybe this year there's a bird flu outbreak. So we can talk to people and say, you need to be safe, make sure you have a mask or don't touch. Or we'll come get it, whatever the case might be. Dispatchers spend a lot of time talking to people to get them the help they need. And there's not one of them that aren't so kind to go listening to you and everything you're saying and what you need. If somebody is ever snarky on our dispatch line, it's because you're probably the 60th call and 60th Gannet call. So, but other than that, you know, these folks will care and talk to you for a very long time about what you need to do or what we can do to help you.
Yeah, I wanted to point out that about 20% of our calls on dispatch are from around the state.
Yeah, there's.
So we get people calling us from Tallahassee and begging for help. But we've got a really good, we've got a good dispatcher's notebook with a listing of rehabbers by county across the state that we can refer them to. Animal Help Now is an app, also search by city, anywhere in the country. So we do have those resources.
If you do find an animal like a bird with and a bird flu or some other contagious kind of disease is discovered in one of your rescues, what kind of a network, who do you get in touch with that would spread the word to the rest of the area geographically? That, you know.
So FWC is
Okay.
mostly responsible for that.
Okay.
They do that well. But we will also put it on our Facebook and people calling in to us, we'll let them know.
But they're the primary organization that
primary,
spreads the
yeah.
word. And,
So FWC they're the lawmakers.
okay.
And, you know, we comply with all their laws. So it would make sense that we are under them and that we comply with whatever they're saying at the time. If they ask us to leave them there, that is what we would do. If they ask us to bring them to them, that's what we would do. So we closely monitor that when it happens.
Yeah.
We also have someone who is the head of or one of the epidemiology girls at Public Health, and she lets us know when there's an outbreak, whether it's rabies or distemper in raccoons or bird flu. So we work with her to know that stuff as well. So that's a really great resource that we have.
She's walking fast enough.
Yeah, she's like, I got this, there's some space. And they stop me when I'm about to bump. Okay, anything else?
Any really unusual animals that you've gotten calls on?
I don't know, have we had anything strange in a while? We've had emus.
That one from
The what?
the one from France.
Oh, yeah, we had a,
Mask.
what?
Mask.
Yeah, a masked booby
Wow.
from Brest, France.
Wow.
I just thought that was funny. They literally came on a Disney cruise from France. Halfway over, it landed on the cruise ship. The entire time the captain was coming up to the deck feeding the bird fish, it made it to us. We got it, and then, yeah, she's starting to run, and she's gonna go right through. You might want to bring her in your little house. There goes her tail. And so it came to us, and then after it was rehabbed by the wildlife hospital, then it was given to us. Bless you.
Thank you.
And FWC took us 20 miles offshore to release it back out there because they don't live here. And they don't nest here either. We do have some down in Dry Tortugas, but for the most part, it needed to get back out there in the Gulf Stream and get going. So we took it back out. We have had emus, that was strange. We got them to pass out. We have had snakes and big ones. We've had a horse running down Wickham Road. Yeah, we've had a couple of odds and ends. There was a parrot that I ended up with. And I think that's it. We have more strange calls, like
The racing pigeons.
The what?
I mentioned the racing pigeons because they're fascinating.
yeah, go ahead and get to it.
Oh, okay, so, there's this, whole group of people that race pigeons and the pigeons race each other. And every once in a while, they'll be exhausted and we'll get a call about one. And we asked for a picture of the band around its foot. So the other night, my husband and I did one of those calls and the band was smudged. We couldn't figure out why. So we took it to Johnny Rodriguez, who is part of the Racing Pigeon Association, and he will help us track down the owners per band. He took that pigeon and he peeled tape off that band, and there was the number on the pigeon.
Wow.
Because he told us that that pigeon was probably a really good racer and someone would want to steal it. So the owner covered up the band.
Interesting.
So he ended up taking it because it was injured and he was going to get a hold of the owner and.
He's an officer as well.
Yeah,
Wow.
he told us.
I just had one of those. Well, it was in December. I was in the Everglades, and it had like an FCC ID tag on it and a little rubber band tag on it with a number on it. We emailed them. It was a cube from Cuba.
Wow.
So, and they thought they were believing that there was a storm that went through the air, and they had just hit the first patch of land between Cuba and
So how did you get the bird back to Cuba?
unfortunately it did not make it. We had two of them. One was already dead, and then the other one was being bullied by American crows. It was like 12 of them mobbing it and beating it up, and I did not understand. I would normally let nature take its course sometimes if it's natural. I didn't understand so I walked up to it, and that's when I saw the band on it, and I grabbed it and then tried to. That's interesting.
What? Well, yeah, and we had
Oh yeah.
we had an eagle ray, and that was pretty cool because Joel went up and took pictures of it. We had an eagle ray that was swimming in circles, a very big ray, quite big. And FWC wasn't, they gave us the permission to handle it because we had a veterinarian from UF want to come out and help. So they came out, and the Florida Wildlife Trappers, they came out, helped us build a big pen out in the river because we couldn't take the rays somewhere. And then the vets over the course of days came, treated it, they did an ultrasound, it had an ear infection. That's why it was spinning in circles. Then they gave it antibiotics, they tagged it, and released him. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, I guess they're sensitive to smells, and it already had recognized me. So every time the vets had to work on it, I had to get in front of it so it wouldn't swing around its tail. So that was a pretty neat one. We normally wouldn't do marine life, so that was pretty neat for us. We've had fox under a house. Guy calls, just, these fox are just digging under my house. I can't take it. He said he filled it in twice. He crammed packed the hole, put the sand in there, and the darn foxes are still trying to dig in there. Suddenly I thought, why are the fox digging in there? Exactly. So, some couple of the girls went, dug it out, and went in with the camera. They couldn't get far enough to see, but they heard a little bit something, and they were pretty confident that it was babies in there. So we just retreated, put up a night vision camera. Fox came that night, took their babies. So a lot of these scenarios are really cool to see. Not as much strange animals, but cool to see. We do sometimes get the lemur call. We get the baboon calls.
Really?
And my favorite one to tell everybody is a lady called from Jacksonville. She said she had a black bird in her tree and she was convinced it was going to kill her. And it had a baby. And she just kept saying, I said, could you get pictures? It was very bizarre to me to have a blackbird in a tree. That was, maybe it's flying down and swooping at her, but she was terrified. I told her to get some photos. She said, ma'am, I'm scared of this. I said, okay. She goes, but I'll try. I'll go to the back door and I'll try. I said, okay. I opened my text. There was a black bear and its baby. I said, ma'am, get in your house. I'm scared. And I said, I'll call FWC. So I'll call FWC. That's a big bird. Yeah. So I get calls sometimes, and sometimes they actually are when they see exactly what they are seeing. We actually had a bear call just recently, and FWC is taking care of it, but it was a bear that was released, and the man actually
walked right up to the man.
Walked right up to the man and got in his boat. So he's telling Alice, and Alice is like, sure. Okay, you put a bear in your boat. Sure enough. So
The bear actually licked his foot.
Oh.
Wow.
all the stuff. But so Alice called FWC and the people who released him. So they're working on that.
Wow.
So, yes.
I got a call the other day. One of my friends, they had an iguana in Rockford, right?
Mm.
And I'm like, they're not this far. He's like, I'm telling you, he's sitting up there. I'm like, and it was.
And it was actually an iguana.
He's okay.
Yeah, she could be.
No, he was a fake of
What
it.
is she calling you?
Because I try to rescue stuff and I take it to the wildlife rangers.
I'm just teasing.
Yeah.
I'm just teasing.
So
I know a lot of people we eat stuff. FAC in Miami, they've
Yes.
got a lot of that going on.
Yes, yes.
So besides the laughing jokes, hee hee ha ha, we do get iguana. Right now they're illegal to set free, they're illegal to bring to a forever home. Our hands are tied, there's nothing we can do but bring it to a facility, and when we do that, per FWC's law, because they're invasive, they put them down. So I know they just did a big collecting down in the Keys for them, so.
Yeah. I was they got a lot. I was watching. They just grabbed them. I was like,
Yeah, no, and it's all they just
yeah, it was there. Some week ago, I was down there and they was following me. I just caught it out of a tree and then take them like alligators and back. They just got to go.
So, and some of these kind of situations, even with the snakes, I don't love snakes to the fullest, but we respect them as wildlife rescuers, and some of our girls and guys love them. It's hard when you get something that is highly invasive because we know we can't rescue it, and we are trained to the core from the time you step into Wild Florida. You already know you want to rescue, and then you are trained to do just that. And a lot of times there's things like that we can't save. Either something is too badly injured and damaged and dying and they have to be put down, or it's an invasive species that we have no control of. Doesn't matter where we find resource or forever homes, we can't do it legally. So that can be hard for our team. There are things that are quite taxing. It's never really Snow White in the woods, even though we wish we wish it was. You know, we're out there rescuing and doing a lot of tough stuff. So our favorite thing, I think, is reuniting babies with parents. That's my personal favorite. Everybody has their own.
And we do get a lot of false alarms too. I was sent on a call because there was a turtle in the middle of the road and it was a pillow. And that hadn't moved in a couple days and somebody went out and it was a piece of wood.
Decoy.
But it was shaped like a
It
bird.
looked like a hawk.
Yeah, it was like a hawk.
And I personally went out to the flamingo before the flamingos actually came here. The woman kept calling and she's like, there is a flamingo in the tree. I'm telling you. She sent me a picture. She's like, it's so high. This is the best. And I'm looking, I'm like, it does look like a flamingo. So I went out to it and it was somebody's lawn ornament. So we've had the duck in the pond that doesn't move.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big one.
So, well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Online, there was lots of comments. Amazing, Precious, great teamwork. Great to see how you guys work. Precious, so cute when you started bringing the opossum up. Thank you for all you do. And then Janet Hocella called last week or so and talked to Alice, and she had an injured ibis behind her house, and it's doing okay, but it's limping, but it's so thank you so much, guys.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for that. And card, anybody who doesn't have a card needs to get a card. Please.
Yeah, I want to.
Okay.
For the white.